Welcome back to the ESPN Hoops and Hits podcast presented by Tab. I am the Scope, joined by my man, the Grub.
How are you, mate?
Good, brother. Monday night football is behind us. We just took a few bad beats before we got on show with George Pickens, but the Steelers were too good for the New York Giants.
Yeah, it's a big night for the Steelers. They're tough to beat at home, aren't they? And yeah, Pickens, what are you doing? You had 3 chances to
Slim
score.
Pickens.
I like it.
That's for your multi. Slim Pickens.
Slim Pickens. So, it was a good game, but the Giants, they're just not good at the moment.
And LA, speaking of New York, they've had a bad day. LA Dodgers go up 3-0 in the World Series. They're about to wrap it up.
They're not coming back, are they? They're home.
It's not happening in New York at the moment.
It's not happening.
Bad vibes.
I was expecting the other way. I honestly did. I thought the Yankees were going to be too good, but 3-0. I wouldn't say they'd be coming back from that one, Hoz.
Big Judgy still can't get his rhythm going. But speaking of losing some rhythm, there were some huge results for Aussies over in the UFC 308 in Abu Dhabi. JJ Redick and the Lakers have started really strong. They took an L today, but they're looking really good so far. The Jets fall to the bottom of the division. We talked about New York. They're just struggling at the moment. Is Jameis the answer for the Cleveland Browns? And I want to chat in depth about Jameis. I love me some Jameis.
What a guy.
The Maryland Miracle. The Hail Mary. Everyone would have seen this. Even if you're not an NFL supporter, you would have seen the highlights of this. Because what the DB was doing for the Chicago Bears, Stevenson, has got everyone talking. And speaking of got everyone talking, did you want to jump in there quickly?
I was just going to say, is it fair to say, Hoz, that every time we turn on ESPN right now, the Hail Mary is going to be played for the whole year? Well, the whole year.
It's at least all throughout this week. And I think if you ESPN top 10 highlights or lowlights of the year, we're going to be seeing it at the end of the football season.
Which one is it?
It's a bit of both. It's going to be a highlight for Washington, lowlight for Stevenson, unfortunately. Speaking of lowlights, Dwyane Wade's statue was revealed, and it's a doozy. So let's get straight into it because I want to see some other statues that we're going to be comparing Dwyane Wade's to. So to kick it off, as always, we're going to move on with a left on red. And the first one comes from Facebook, and this one comes from Joseph Hassan. Breaking a guy's jaw with wrestling is unbelievable. Hazmat submits Bobby Knuckles in the first round, and I don't think it was a broken jaw, but he's moved his teeth somehow, just completely caved his teeth in. What a performance, and is that the end for Bobby Knuckles with competitive, going for, being a real challenger for the belt?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I do not think he might get another crack. That's his 4th loss, 19 fights, but over 10 years, so he's had a great span. But Hoz, firstly, let's talk about us Aussies at the moment. We need to get over to Russia and train like they do because these guys, they're just taking the UFC to the next level. Yeah. It's what they're doing. You spoke about, even though he didn't break his jaw, but moving his teeth,
that's unbelievable,
how
mate.
Strong must he be? Honestly, like that grip and that hold he had, it's just... It's unbelievable. Poor Rob, he got a couple of low leg kicks in there, but yeah, we've actually done at Bulldogs a bit of training with Rob's trainer, Alex.
Yep.
And we speak about, takedown defense and shooting the legs and stuff. He shot at Rob's legs from about 2 meters away.
They're unbelievable, man.
How do you do that? Do you know how hard it is? It's unbelievable. So it was unbelievable fight from him, but who does he fight next?
Hazmat or Bobby? Which one?
Oh, Hazmat. He has.
Look, I don't think it matters at the moment. I think he's going to be going. He's going to be very hard to beat regardless. I think it's the end for Bobby. Unfortunately, I've got a question for you here. We've had a bit of a bad run with Australian combat athletes off the back of obviously what Bobby's done. Volkanovski, more recently lost his title. Hasn't got a win in a couple of fights. Tim Tszyu coming off a really bad 6 months in the boxing. Have we just gone? Did we go through a really good period there, and we're just on the other end? We got to start finding new Australian fighters in sort of both arenas, boxing and MMA.
It's just hard, Hoz. We spoke about last week having the great Billy Dibb speak on the show, and I said it last week. I just feel, in Australia, we pump them up so much. And look, they are champs in their own in their own way in the Australian boxing or even in Australian UFC. But then they go over to these guys. They're fighting these Russian, guys that are fighting bears. So we got to be realistic.
Should we be fighting? What's the alternative?
Kangaroos.
Do we fight roos? Are we supposed to be punching on with roos? Like they can get
man.
up. Like they're not gonna. It's not gonna be a fair fight. They're gonna be kicking. They're gonna get on the back of their tail. But I work on the
Good for the
elusiveness.
Yeah, I agree, mate. It's just
We've got to find something because if they're wrestling bears up there, then we got to find something down here in Australia, New Zealand. We got nothing in New Zealand too, by the way. Anything dangerous is in Australia. Maybe we start wrestling crocs.
We've got to do something because we're nowhere near them, are we? At the moment, it's just they're a step ahead and they're just going to keep going because it's like, when they speak in their interviews and stuff, you can sort of tell it's like this is my life. I've done this since a young boy, and I can imagine it'd be very, very different ways we speak about the training, but it'd be hard, hard as
super hard. A lot of them are very humble. They go about things the right way. I think they really appreciate the sport, and they're just dominating at the moment. So. Where do we go for Australia? We go to the Volk, and this one comes from Instagram. This one's from Temtem16. Time for Volk to come back and dominate him. Just got it in little comments there as well. I'm scared because Ilya, straight after the fight against Max Holloway, promised a rematch for Volk. Can you see Volk at this cherry ripe part of his career at this age somehow turning it back on the phenom, which is Ilya at the moment?
Well, Temtem, I'm scared too. I really am. Seeing how he fought on the weekend. Just going back to what you said something before, there was a lot of respect in the octagon on the weekend.
Yep.
Ilya with Volk saying you deserve that, and even when Rob lost, he was sort of saying that he looked up to Rob as a fighter, and you're the best guy in this. In this weight class. And I just love that. I love seeing that. They're all trash talk before it. They're all into each other, but having that respect after. But, I just don't know about the Volk. I read a few articles saying that he's happy to fight the Volk in Australia, in Sydney. He said he's happy to do it. Whether that happens or not, will be amazing for the Volk. Volk's like, bring him here. I'm not sure if he wants him in Wollongong at Wynn Stadium.
Oh, yeah. It's not happening to win. Maybe, it shows the confidence that Ilya's got in his game right now that he's not worried about where it is. And he did, right? He showed a lot of respect, and he spoke about how Volk often, would always put his title on the line, did it a number of times, was a really good champion, and wants to give him that chance to get a rematch and see if he can get it back off him.
Yeah, mate. His left hook was one of the scariest things I've ever seen. Like, he's so tight, and we were having a giggle backstage about how Conor McGregor said he's so small. But Conor, I'm not too sure if you could take one of those left hooks, mate. But the one thing, I think you spoke about it before, Volk at the moment, he said he never felt if he wasn't in fight camp or he wasn't training that he struggled. But now he said he took a bit of time off. He's had the longest break he's ever had in his fighting career.
Yep.
So I think he's going to be fresh as a daisy. He also said he's really happy in his own skin. When he means that, he said, before I was probably trying to base my fights on other fighters and try and be like a little bit like McGregor or try and be a little bit like this. But now he says, I look in the mirror, I know exactly who I am. So really, really confident, strong words for the Volk. But I also say this guy is next level at the moment. He's a different beast. We speak about the Russians, but this guy's far behind.
Yeah, Ilya's really good. And by the way, with Volk too, had a couple of heavy losses. And one thing we'll go back to with the Australians that I feel like lets them down at times, it's Volk taking some of those fights on short notice. Tim Tszyu sort of getting back in really quickly after having that loss about 6 months ago, is that Aussies, sort of don't pick their fights as clinically as the Americans do. They really, take specific fights that suit them a little bit more often. It's hard to do in UFC, but I think that's one thing where Aussies, and it's ingrained in us here, it's the underdog mentality. It's taken on whoever, whenever, at any time. And I think sometimes that's what lets Australians down here.
Why do we do it, Holtz? Like, why don't we miss fights and dodge people when we don't feel right? Like, why do we
get healthy?
Is it silly?
Too tough for their own good.
Yeah.
And that's the note. But that's a good, if that's the worst trait that you've got as a fighter, then there's a lot of respect in that.
Agreed.
Let's get on to what sort of has been dominating all across ESPN. But we got this one from Facebook, and this one's from Ronnie Darkhorse. Instant classic. So it was the number 1 pick in the game last year in the NFL draft against the number 2 pick for the Washington Commanders. Jaden Daniels throws an unbelievable Hail Mary. Is it the best Hail Mary in NFL history? Or is it too early? Have we got recency bias? I will say the length of it was unbelievable.
Mate, Jaden Daniels, he scares me. Yeah. He scares me for us Eagles at the moment. He's got Lamar written all over him. But secondly, Hoz, Stevenson, what are you doing?
Grub or no grub, get the pedal up right now. Give me a grub or no grub on Stevenson.
That is a grub act.
To who?
Stevenson.
But to who? His teammates, his fans?
Everyone.
Chicago?
Everyone. You cannot be taunting. The game's still going, mate. You are killing me. And I was
what was he doing?
I was watching this play and I was like, look at him. What is he doing? But Hoz, I feel this has NFL players written all over him sometimes. I just feel sometimes they're up. It kills me. It kills me in fantasy. It kills me watching the Eagles. We're losing by 30. And someone wants to do the fly Eagles fly. Mate, we're losing by 30. It kills me. Yeah. It kills me. So
that one's come back to bite him. One of my worst pet peeves, and it nearly happened to Kyle Pitts on the weekend. And I'm so glad I got rid of him in fantasy, even though he went off, is when they just like labor up before a touchdown, and sometimes they drop it before the line. Like, it happens at least 3 times a year. Just run the ball in, score the touchdown, and then celebrate. It's all about the ego and celebrating. And I tell you what, his ego isn't feeling that good this morning. Tyreek Stevenson, I'll tell you that much.
If you're a coach, Hoz, what is he copping this week? Is he copping anything, or you haven't? He's only a rookie. You're sitting him down. You're saying, look, mate, like that's unacceptable.
Yeah, they've got a really good defense. He's going to be a key, important part of their defense, and he's going to get a whole lot of traffic because Jalen Johnson's on the other side, and people don't target him. So I don't know. It's I think he's done enough to himself, to be honest. I think anything that could have been. I think this is so egregious that the amount of humiliation, the backlash from fans that he's going to cop for an entire season, he's honestly going to have to come up with a huge pick 6 in a playoff game before anyone in Chicago ever forgives him, because that's just not it.
It's unacceptable, honestly, in a team environment. But can we just say quickly on the Commanders again, what about the growth and the mindset change of the Commanders as a team? Like, to be right there competing in that last play, that's very un-Commanders like. They've been poor for a very long time. They were 4-13 last year. They are a totally different team with Jaden Daniels, and they are going to be someone to beat. But Hoz, actually, I've got one more for you. This isn't on the run sheet.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I love an off sheet.
I'm going off. Did you see the alligator roll in the Chargers
disgusting
game? Mate, that's like
the defensive end for the Saints.
That's a super grub.
Yeah.
We got to make a super grub.
Triple OG grub.
And I love his teammate coming in, giving him a big whatever that was.
The big offensive lineman gets down there, all 350 pounds of him just all over top of him.
That's actually trying to kill the quarterback.
You'd cop the fine. You'd cop the fine as a team, as a coach, as a player. You rip the helmet off and you just get into him for that. That's your franchise quarterback, 25 mil, 25, 30 mil. More than that now these days. So, yeah, I ain't having that. Speaking of franchise quarterbacks, let's talk about famous Jameis Winston. And this one comes from Derek Steen off Twitter. Never bet against Jameis Winston. He is inevitable. So, Winston leads the Browns to a shock win over the Ravens. Your man, King Henry, and Lamar Jackson, who have looked really good. Is Winston the answer to the problems that the Browns have?
Okay, let's start by saying, can we get Winston some media training or a new mentor? Because you cannot refer to Eminem and Jesus in the same sentence.
Yes,
man.
you can.
You can't.
Yes,
Where's he getting his info from? Well, it was actually a little funny story, mate. We're having brekkie this morning in the kitchen, and my fiance was half watching because ESPN's always on.
Yeah.
And she heard Winston talk with the Eminem rap, and she's like, "That's an ick. What's he doing?" So, but yeah, look, you know what's crazy, Hoss? I found I just looked up something today. Winston's been in the league for 10 years.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't.
Number one pick.
Doesn't feel like that. I remember him in the Florida State days.
Yeah.
Like killing it. And now he's in there, but 334 yards, three touchdowns. He was You know what I love about Winston, and this is why I think they won the game. The difference between Winston and Watson is very conservative. They haven't thrown for over 200 all year. There was a play on the weekend where Hamilton should have got a pick for the Ravens.
Yep.
Which it was an easy pick.
Yeah, he overthrew it.
He overthrew it and should have got
seen
it. But Winston just went again. He doubled down and got a really nice first down straight after that. And that's the difference. And I think that's what Winston brings to a team. He brings that confidence. He's like, look, boys, I'm going to throw intercepts, but at the same time, I'm going to win you this game and get on my back. So I'm all for it.
I'll tell you what, he's very much far removed from his 30 for 30 year a couple of years ago. Now, that was about 4 or 5 years ago. I think it was his last season at the Buccaneers. There's a part of me that thinks Jameis is trolling. I think Jameis is playing an alter ego. My take on Jameis Winston is that his alter ego is him being a footy player. You know how like when you turn up to a dress up and you get changed into the kit and you don't break?
Right.
Like you don't. I feel like, because I've seen some podcasts or seen some stuff that he's done before where he's like half normal. And I think there's a part of me that thinks he's trolling for sure, because some of the stuff that he comes up with is just out of this world hilarious. And you hear teammates that speak like teammates love him. Teammates rally around him, even though he's eating W's and reciting Eminem and throwing 30 intercepts while also throwing 3 touchdowns. He is just the most entertaining backup quarterback in the league for sure.
I like that take. Maybe it is his alter
I feel
ego.
like he's trying.
You know what? Maybe we're the suckers.
Yeah.
Maybe we're watching going, mate, this bloke's rapping, but then he'll go back in the sheds and go, boys, what about that?
I always look at the teammates around him when he starts going on those random tangents and those speeches, and like how engaged the teammates are and how they're not laughing is beyond me.
I love it.
I love him. I'm a big Jameis Winston fan. I don't love this new statue, mate, and this one comes from producer Shabs. Is this the worst athlete statue of all time? So we've got some comparisons. I seen a comment on the Miami Heat page asking if they got the number wrong, and it was actually the OG Antoine Walker from back when Dwyane Wade started his career. Where does that look like Dwyane Wade in any form or fashion to you?
I think it looks like him a bit. In 30 years. Mate, honestly, it looks like Dwyane Wade when he's probably 75, retired, wherever he's living now. That guy put in 14 seasons for you. Yeah. 14 seasons for you. And that's what they're dishing.
Yeah.
2024, Hoz. We're trying to put people on the moon. We're trying to this and that, and we can't get a statue right.
How weren't there people? And I'm gonna call out Pat Riley here. Surely Pat Riley was showing this before it was unveiled, and he's given that the all clear. How don't you go delay this, knock that down, at least chop the head off, and redo another head? Because that is not good enough. Now I want to play Guess Who with you, Grub.
All right.
And actually, I'm going to be in this as well. We've got three other statues, and let's have a crack and see if we can guess them. All right, first one, tennis racket.
Is that
it looks like medieval time with the kit.
Is that who's the English tennis player just retired?
Andy Murray.
Andy Murray.
Yeah, Andy Murray makes sense. Maybe the armour there. We'll go with Andy Murray. And thumbs up, Andy Murray.
Yes.
All right, number 2. And I always thought this was a G-up. So when I seen this in the run sheet, I thought it was one of those prank shows. I believe there was one that happened to David Beckham. I thought it was the same thing. But obviously, that's a poor version of Cristiano Ronaldo.
What is Barry Beef? That's cleaned his teeth in 11 years.
Oh, that's a bad one. And the last one. All right, let's get to this last one. Is he in, I'm guessing he's in shorts there.
It's got to be the guy off Fantastic Four.
Yeah,
the bad guy.
The Silver Surfer. I'm going to go, is he in trunks? I'm going to take a guess at Phelps, Michael Phelps.
But it looks, is that in America? Yeah.
He's got no shirt on, so is it a swimmer?
Yeah, but they wear trunks. They wear proper swimmers.
Yeah, they do too.
He's got it.
Right.
He looks like my rig.
Yeah,
got a poor rig.
I've got Phelps. You got anything?
I reckon it's in Paris. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Nah, no idea.
Yep. Who have we got there? David Beckham. That's David Beckham. Why is he in trunks for? That's in England.
He looks better than that.
Oh, my God.
He looks better than that, actually.
Why have they got him in trunks for?
He's one of the best sorts in the world. And they've dished that
I tell you what, that one's better than the one that they did the prank on him with.
Who's worst out of those 4?
Oh, Cristiano. Easy. Easy.
At least Dwyane Wade's going to grow into his.
Yeah, you're right, because that was a good one. He will be there in 30 years. All right, let's move on to Instagram. This one comes from Marty No. It's nice to see some actual coaching going on, and he's referring to the Lakers and their start under JJ Redick. But we've actually got a mate to chip in and give us a bit of a take on how the Lakers are going this year.
Hey guys, Cameron Munster here. Big fan of the potty and the segment. How good, guys? How good are those Lakers going? The 3-zip. They beat some great quality teams. Phoenix Suns, obviously, and then Minnesota Timberwolves. So they've beaten some good quality teams. I know they did it last year in the in-season tournament and they won it, but can they get the West this year? I feel like they can if AD's healthy, but we all know what he's all about. He can only play several games. So see how those Lakers go. All the best guys and go to Storm.
My man Munster. He jinxed them. They lost today too, by the way.
They got beat against Phoenix.
Against the Suns. But do you think that despite the loss today, because there are going to be losses for sure for anyone in the West or the East, do you think they're the real deal? Do you think they can come out of the West? Because they did start well, like Money was saying last year. But they've got a 42-year-old second greatest player of all time.
Yep, your main man, Bronny. It's the Bronny and Bron show now. But the one thing about the Lakers at the moment, it's not about LeBron. It's AD.
AD's on fire.
AD's on fire at the moment. He's a pivotal point of their attack. His playmaking, around the post has been exceptional. I just think their offense is much more improved. Like someone watching the Lakers the last couple of games, someone's always moving. There's always setting screens. There's always something moving, and it's a good way to play. Last year they were last in offensive rebounds.
Okay,
they've definitely changed that. JJ Redick has obviously put a big emphasis on that, crashing the boards. AD's been big in that with their hustle,
and he's always injured too. AD, that's the thing. So he misses a lot of games. So when he's fit and healthy, he's coming down with the board.
And the one thing I've noticed was, obviously, because JJ was a big 3-point shooter, I think he's told them to take more threes. Yep. Even though the percentage at the moment isn't good, I think he's trying to bring that into their game with the likes of Russell Reeves and Dalton Connect. But I don't think they can continue how good they're going. And we've said it before. You keep AD fit, he'll be fine. But
playoff team, but maybe not Western Conference, favourite. Is that what we're going to settle on them? Like definitely. I can see them in the 5 to 10 seed, like a play-in for anywhere in between there.
But like
it's a tough West.
But what if they continue playing like this? Let's just say they play like this all year.
Well, 3-1 gets them there, I reckon.
It's
they're looking pretty good.
Yeah,
but you got to worry about LeBron's age. You got to worry about AD's injury history and the development of those 3-point shooters. Austin Reeves is continuing. I like what Rui did in those first couple of games as well. So they're a team to watch. I tell you, a team you do not have to worry about, and that's in our StaleMate. Producer Shabs, he puts it to the fans. The fans have got back to us. Can the Chiefs go undefeated? On Twitter, you always say they're pretty ruthless on Twitter. 15% think they can, 85% think they can't. On Instagram, 22%, and 78% no. So I had a quick look at the schedule. There's a couple of games I think, it's very hard to win a game in the NFL. The two games worry me more than any. The Bills and what version of the Texans they're going to get later in the year. Now, Stephon Diggs just got injured on the weekend. Whether they get Nico Collins back by that time, who I believe is their best receiver anyway.
Yep.
They've still got Tank Dell and Schultz. So they could, if they can get it going at the back end of the year, they're not playing there as well as they were last year, but I think at their best, those two teams can probably give them the most dramas going into the playoffs.
Yeah, Shabs broke my heart when I got told about the Diggs news. He's a big part of my fantasy team, and that was probably going to be the team that I thought could really challenge them. But we've spoken about it a couple of weeks on the show. They are just amazing. Their system is is the best, and Andy Reid is just unbelievable. But no one's gone undefeated since the 2007 Patriots.
Do you want to go undefeated? That's another question, because then that brings anxiety, that brings pressure
to this team. But Hoz, this championship team,
maybe not not to this team. That's their exception to the rule. Yeah, you're right.
I just feel with this team, I just think. Yeah, they don't care. They're going to go to Buffalo in the freezing cold. It's going to be a hard game, and I think that's going to be a danger one for them.
They love those conditions as well.
But I've got a couple of what-ifs for you. Yep. What if Mahomes starts firing again? What if DeAndre Hopkins opens up some more space for the likes of Travis Kelce?
True.
His volume starts opening up, starts moving the chains again, and Xavier Worthy gets more consistent touches and he gets to show that speed. Because when he shows us that speed, he's unbelievable. I just think...
You've got Kareem Hunt doing a good job while Pacheco's out at the moment as well. The defense is only going to get... It's a young defense. It's only going to get better in the next couple of years as well.
I think Hoz with... Especially, it all relies on Mahomes. Let's face it. He looked more comfortable in the pocket on the weekend. He was extending plays with his legs, and he's doing that more often. And when he does do that, I feel that's when he's at his most confident because he knows how good he is as a passer. But when he does that, you can see that he's confident in his own games. But as you said, the big one for me is Spagnuolo's defense. Like they're the best team in the NFL. They dominate rushing defense. They go after teams, and there's rookies everywhere in that squad as well. So everyone is really honed in at the moment. So, hey, offense, Mahomes, Kelce, probably two of the best 1-2 punch ever. It's okay, we got you. But when you boys want to come to the party, who's stopping us?
Yeah, dangerous. Very dangerous. I got this one from Instagram. This is from B Muzz. Just not simply, nope. This one comes from Lala Lady. Hoped for this before, but we always get beaten at some stage. So Lala Lady is a fan of the Chiefs, and maybe she's alluding to what I was talking about there before, that maybe a loss is all right for her as well. And this one's from Gabba8724. Yes, they will lose and lose the Super Bowl to Green Bay. Baltimore on paper are the best, and Detroit have it all, but Chiefs get there again. I just seen this comment for the first time. I love it. And that is indeed my burn account, Gabba8724.
You're telling
no, because there's no way, because I wouldn't put Baltimore on the other side against us. I would have us beating the champs. This is how, if I'm putting Green Bay in there, I want to beat the champs. I want to beat Patty Mahomes. I don't want Lamar Jackson and King Henry as good as they've been going this year. I want to be the best, you got to beat the best.
Talking about older egos, Gabba's yours.
All right, it's time to move on to studs and duds. All right, studs and duds for this week, mate. Derrick Henry, we just had a little chat about him. King Henry, 873 yards. That's more than almost 60% of the NFL teams. So he is on fire at the moment. He is the number one running back in the game, even though he had a quiet game on the weekend. The pick six for this week, presented by Tab. Cynthia is back, and before she had the break, she was 2 from 2, and not just 2 from 2, 6 from 6 on both of those occasions. So let's have a look what Cynthia has gone for this week.
Grub and Horo, it is so good to see you again. It has been way too long, as in a whole week. Why? Probably because you needed another week to get ready for another week of perfect picks, maybe? Let's see if we can do it again this time, making it 3 in a row. Number 1, Saints over Panthers. Number 2, Bengals over Raiders. Number 3, Bills over Dolphins. And 4, Eagles over Jags. 5, Chiefs over Bucks. And last but not least, Vikings over the Colts. Good luck this week.
Any of those Warrior Grub? The Bills over the Dolphins, I think my thought was that would be quicker, but I know the Bills have been dominating the Dolphins in the last couple of years. They just seem to have the edge over them. And the Chiefs over the Bucks would have been a harder game probably about a couple of weeks ago when Chris Godwin and Mike Evans were playing really well with Baker Mayfield, but they've lost both of their star wide receivers. They're looking pretty good. I like those picks.
Bengals, they scare me.
Yeah, they do as well.
Just not, their defense is terrible.
Yeah. The Raiders are rank, but the Bengals aren't that much better.
Double rank.
Double rank.
You win some, you lose more. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
All right, Grub, that's the end of the show for this week. I just want to do a little teaser for the next couple of weeks. So we got some huge guests coming all the way over from the States. There we go. Yeah.
Hold on, you're holding out here.
We got some content. I don't want to give too much away.
Oh, man.
I want them to keep coming back in. Maybe I feel like you don't know the information as well as much as you should.
I'm excited.
Just continue to follow us, though. Make sure you get us on all the ESPN socials, whether it's on Instagram, be a part of the show. Love doing the show with you, Grub. I love doing it for the fans, and some big guests coming soon.
Oh, let's go.
Let's go.
Get them on.